The boy has no choice but to fight with this monster. However, the monster tackles him, sending him outside the train. Fortunately, he manages to hold onto a bar. His name is Percy Jackson, a loner student with no friends at school. One day, he magically pushes one of his bullies into a fountain nearby without touching her and is confronted by his teacher, Mrs. Dodds. In a surprising turn of events, his teacher is revealed to be a monstrous creature known as a Fury. As Percy engages in a fierce battle with Mrs. Dodds, he discovers his supernatural abilities and learns about the existence of the hidden world of Greek mythology. This encounter marks the beginning of Percy's journey as a demigod and an epic quest that awaits him. The story begins with Percy Jackson, a young boy who warns about the dangers that come with being a half-blood. It is revealed that Percy struggles at school because he keeps seeing weird things and strange events happen to him. Due to these unusual incidents, he finds himself getting kicked out of school several times. One day, during a school trip to the Metropolitan Museum of Art with his buddy Grover Underwood, Percy faces bullying from a fellow student, Nancy Bobovit. In a surprising turn of events, despite Percy not laying a hand on her, he somehow sends her tumbling into a nearby water fountain. Percy gets confused, and as he is waiting to be punished by his teacher, Mrs. Dodds, things take a terrifying turn when Mrs. Dodds transforms into a monstrous creature with enormous wings, known as a Fury. She demands something from Percy, leaving him utterly confused. Fortunately, Percy discovers a remarkable ability when his teacher, Mr. Brunner, gives him a special pen that turns into a powerful sword. With this newfound weapon, Percy defeats the monstrous Mrs. Dodds, causing her to vanish into thin air. However, when Percy seeks answers from Mr. Brunner and Grover about what just happened, they pretend to have no knowledge of Mrs. Dodds, raising suspicion in Percy's mind. Back at school, Percy denies pushing Nancy into the fountain, but Grover, betraying Percy's trust, accuses him of seeking revenge on Nancy. This revelation only adds more intrigue to the unfolding mystery surrounding Percy's extraordinary abilities and the strange events that seem to follow him. After this, Percy finds himself expelled from Yancey Academy, but not before Mr. Brunner shares some cryptic words, hinting at Percy's uniqueness and the challenging journey ahead. Unwilling to dwell on it, Percy heads to his mom's apartment on East 104th Street in Manhattan, where he's greeted by his mom's husband, Gabe Bugliano, who does not look very happy to see him. Despite this, Percy's mom warmly embraces him, offering his favorite blue candy and inquiring about the events leading to his expulsion. Sensing Percy's fear, his mom, Sally, decides to take him on a trip to Montauk, seeking solace away from the confines of the apartment. During the journey, Percy drifts into sleep and experiences a disturbing vision. In this vision, he sees a foreboding warning urging him to flee before danger strikes. Upon reaching Montauk, Sally reveals to Percy the significance of the place. She explains that it's not just a vacation spot but holds sentimental value, as this is the place where she met Percy's father. Now, we get to know that there's a whole side to Percy's heritage and abilities that he's yet to discover. Suddenly, Grover appears with unsettling news and tells them that they must make haste to Camp Half-Blood. To Percy's shock, he learns that Grover isn't entirely human. He has goat legs, revealing himself as a satyr. This revelation adds another layer of complexity to Percy's already tumultuous day. With the looming threat of the Minotaur, a fearsome monster from Greek mythology, Percy must quickly come to terms with the startling truths unfolding around him. During the tense car ride to Camp Half-Blood, Grover enlightens Percy about the mist, a mystical veil that conceals the existence of monsters and gods from mortal eyes. Attempting to make sense of the bewildering situation, Grover introduces Percy to the concept of Camp Half-Blood and the significance of their journey. But before Percy can fully grasp the gravity of their discussion, the menacing Minotaur appears, abruptly disrupting their conversation. In a heart-pounding moment of chaos, the Minotaur crashes into their car, sending it careening off the road and into a murky swamp. With their car wrecked, they're forced to continue their journey on foot. However, Sally, being human, is unable to accompany them into the safety of Camp Half-Blood. Despite her vulnerability, she implores Grover to protect Percy at all costs. After this, with a heavy heart, Sally bravely confronts the Minotaur in a desperate attempt to buy Percy and Grover some time to reach the camp safely. Tragically, Sally's valiant efforts are in vain as the Minotaur effortlessly seizes her, causing her to disintegrate before Percy's horrified eyes, mirroring the fate of Mrs. Dodds. Seeing this, consumed by grief and rage, Percy launches a fierce assault on the Minotaur, summoning every ounce of strength within him to vanquish the monstrous creature. In a climactic showdown, Percy emerges victorious but exhausted. After this, Percy collapses amidst a gathering crowd, including a centaur whose voice eerily resembles that of Mr. Brunner. As Percy awakens in the cabin, Grover approaches him with a heavy heart, expressing remorse for the tragic events involving Percy's mother and himself. Grover acknowledges his failure to protect them as he was tasked to do, but Percy, consumed by grief and anger, does not want to talk about this painful topic. Fueled by a burning determination to seek out his father, Percy storms out of the cabin, vowing to embark on his quest alone. However, his path crosses with Mr. D, or Dionysus, the god of winemaking and camp director at Camp Half-Blood. Percy's defiance towards Mr. D is swiftly subdued by Grover, who enlightens him about Mr. D's divine status as a Greek god. In a playful yet frustrating exchange, Percy confronts Mr. D about finding his father, only to be met with teasing and misdirection. Mr. D humorously claims to be Percy's father, but repeatedly misnames him. Then he jests about Percy fetching him a fancy bottle of wine, adding a touch of humor amidst the seriousness of their situation. However, before Percy can unravel the mysteries of his lineage, Chiron, also known as Mr. Brunner, arrives to provide him with essential information about camp life and the reasons behind his presence there. This pivotal moment serves as an orientation for Percy, where he learns about his newfound weapon, Riptide, and the inner workings of camp. Despite his heroic lineage, Percy finds himself assigned to the Hermes cabin, where unclaimed children and offspring of Hermes reside during their stay at camp. Here, he encounters Luke Castellan, son of Hermes, who extends a welcoming hand and offers him a place to rest, a sleeping bag on the floor. In the dead of night, Percy is once again visited by the eerie voice that haunts his dreams. As the earth trembles and quakes around him, the voice demands justice, sending shivers down Percy's spine. When he awakens, he finds Luke by his side, offering insight into the intricacies of camp life and his own lineage. It is revealed that Luke is a prominent figure at camp, admired by many, while Percy begins to carve out his own path, attracting both allies and adversaries. During his time at camp, a girl named Clarisse Larue, daughter of Ares, the god of war, wastes no time in making her hostility towards Percy known, refusing to believe his claim of defeating the Minotaur. Now, under Luke's guidance, Percy undergoes training, recognizing that achieving glory is his ticket to gaining recognition from his elusive father. It's a daunting task for someone still navigating the complexities of the world of Greek gods, but Percy is determined to prove himself. As Percy enjoys dinner with everyone, he offers some burnt food to the gods as a sign of respect. He then talks to his mom, thanking her for helping him become who he is. Now, Percy feels like he belongs at Camp Half-Blood, where he's made real friends. But his peace doesn't last long. Clarisse, from the Ares cabin, targets Percy again. She and her friends trap him in the bathroom, planning to dunk his head in the toilet. But something strange happens. Instead of dunking Percy, all the water sprays out and soaks Clarisse and her friends. Annabeth, another camper, sees everything happen and comes to her rescue. Percy introduces himself to Annabeth, and she claims she's been waiting for someone like him to show up. She says it's to help her win Capture the Flag, but Percy's not so sure. Before the game, Luke tells Percy about a big prophecy and a promise the big three gods made. He explains how he, Annabeth, and Talia, another camper, arrived at camp together. Luke hints that Annabeth has been waiting for someone special to help her with her own mission. As they are discussing this, it's time for the game Capture the Flag to begin. Percy ends up on Annabeth and Luke's team, but before Capture the Flag starts, Percy and Annabeth have a quick chat, and Annabeth reveals that Percy doesn't know how he fits into all this. Clearly, she knows something he doesn't, but then the games begin. Annabeth throws on her epic New York Yankees hat and disappears. During the intense game of Capture the Flag, Percy finds himself targeted by Clarisse and her gang from the Ares cabin, just as Annabeth predicted. While Percy struggles and takes a beating, he also manages to hold his ground in some surprising ways. He uses his quick reflexes to slice Clarisse's spear in half, momentarily gaining the upper hand. However, Clarisse's fierce determination makes Percy fear for his life before his team arrives with the enemy flag, saving him from a dire situation. As the game draws to a close, Percy is unexpectedly pushed into the water by Annabeth. Suddenly, a hush falls over the camp, and Percy's injuries miraculously heal before everyone's eyes. Above him, a majestic trident materializes, a clear sign that he has been officially claimed by Poseidon, the god of the sea. This revelation sheds light on Percy's affinity for water-related abilities and occurrences. With the atmosphere tense and filled with uncertainty, Percy learns of a bitter feud between Zeus and Poseidon, brothers who are also powerful gods. The situation escalates when Zeus's master bolt goes missing, sparking threats of war among the gods if it isn't returned by the upcoming summer solstice, just 1 week away. Chiron and Mr. D suspect Hades, the third brother, of being behind the theft, adding to the mounting tension. Initially reluctant to undertake a quest, Percy changes his mind when Grover reveals that Percy's mother has been taken by Hades. Determined to rescue her, Percy decides to embark on the perilous journey despite the daunting challenges ahead. Zeus accuses Poseidon of making Percy steal the Master Bolt, which could lead to a big fight between them and the other gods. Chiron and Mr. D hint that Hades might be behind the theft. So, Percy, Grover, and Annabeth have to go from New York to Los Angeles and then into the underworld to sort things out. Before they leave, Percy visits the Oracle of Delphi, who tells him a prophecy about his quest. It says he'll go west to face a mad god, get back what was stolen, be betrayed by a friend, and fail to save what matters most. Percy gets confused to hear this, but he does not waste any more time. Percy picks Annabeth and Grover to go with him. He chooses Annabeth because she's important for the quest, even though he doesn't completely trust her, and he picks Grover because of the prophecy about being betrayed. As he is leaving, Luke offers Percy some flying shoes, but Percy refuses, saying that he trusts Grover more. On their way, they stop at Talia's tree. During their stay there, Percy says something bad about Talia, but Annabeth tells him to stop and reminds him that kids like Talia are always in danger. She shows him how Talia became a tree, and Percy realizes his mistake. During their journey ahead, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover make an interesting team as Grover helps keep things calm between Percy and Annabeth, who both have strong personalities. As they reach Los Angeles, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover decide to take a charter bus for their journey, but Percy wonders why they aren't flying instead. Annabeth and Grover explain that it's risky for Percy to fly because he's a forbidden child. Zeus might strike him down from the sky, and there are also monsters and other gods causing trouble for Percy right now. So, things aren't all peaceful up in Olympus. At a truck stop, Annabeth is targeted by the Furies, including Mrs. Dodds, who is now Alecto. Annabeth stands her ground, wearing a Yankees hat to show she's not afraid. Alecto reveals that she's been ordered to capture Percy. Seeing this, Annabeth warns Percy and Grover to get off the bus, but they are attacked by the other Furies. Thankfully, they manage to escape into the forest using a path known to satyrs. As they flee from the pursuing Furies, Annabeth takes a moment to speak her mind to Percy. She urges him to accept his identity and realize that he's part of something much bigger than himself. Percy responds with a bit of attitude, asking why Annabeth can't reach out to her own mom, Athena, which hits a nerve. However, their argument is interrupted by the smell of food, leading them to stumble upon a garden emporium in the woods. Medusa comes to their rescue, saving them from Alecto. Grateful for their salvation, they accept the offer of a free lunch from Medusa despite Annabeth and Grover's reluctance to trust her. Medusa graciously provides them with lunch and begins to share her story, which unsurprisingly involves Athena and Poseidon. Athena punished Medusa for her relationship with Poseidon, but Annabeth disagrees with this version of events, insisting that her mother is fair and just. However, Medusa offers a different perspective, causing tension to rise. Sensing the growing danger, Annabeth and Grover realize it's time to leave, but Medusa attempts to sway Percy to her side. However, Percy remains composed and doesn't fall for her tricks. Suddenly, Medusa removes her hat, revealing her menacing eyes. Anyone who looks directly at them will be turned to stone. An intense battle ensues between Percy, Annabeth, and Grover against Medusa. But just when it seems like Medusa has the upper hand, Percy makes a daring move. He slices off her head and quickly covers it with Annabeth's Yankees hat, making Medusa's head invisible. In a brilliant move, Percy reveals the head to Alecto and then swiftly removes the hat, causing Alecto to turn to stone upon gazing at Medusa's severed head. It's another victory against Hades' top lieutenant for Percy, proving his growing prowess as a demigod. After their victory over Medusa, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover share a rare moment of camaraderie. However, tensions soon resurface as Percy and Annabeth continue to clash, prompting Grover to intervene. Frustrated with their constant bickering and the secrets they've been keeping, Grover confronts them about their lack of transparency. In a moment of honesty, Percy admits to withholding the last part of the prophecy, revealing the unsettling prediction of betrayal by a friend. This revelation casts a shadow of distrust over their relationships, but Annabeth assures Percy that she has no intention of betraying him, despite Alecto's tempting offer. With their bond strengthened by their shared honesty, Percy comes up with a bold idea, sending Medusa's head to Olympus as a tribute to Athena given her history with the Gorgon. It's a risky move, but Percy's rebellious nature and tendency to defy convention spur him to take the chance. Soon, Hermes arrives to collect Medusa's head, destined for Olympus via the Empire State Building elevator. Percy experiences a flashback of his mother, Sally Jackson, encouraging him to learn how to swim when he was younger. Reluctant at first, little Percy resists the idea. Suddenly, the scene shifts to a desolate desert, and Percy finds himself alone once more. The ominous voice returns, warning him of impending doom and the arrival of a mysterious figure known as She. Upon awakening, Percy finds a moment of peace with Annabeth, marking a rare break from their usual conflicts. Seizing the opportunity, Percy asks Annabeth about Talia, prompting her to open up about her painful past. This conversation marks a significant turning point for Percy as he begins to question the actions of the gods and his own place in the world, particularly their tendency to withhold love. Annabeth reveals that she was a gift from Athena to her father, and for a time everything seemed perfect. However, her father eventually remarried and had children with his new wife, leaving Annabeth feeling rejected and abandoned at the tender age of 7. She shares her belief that the gods' behavior is predictable. They are who they are, for better or worse. After this, Annabeth's candid revelation prompts Percy to reconsider his stance on the gods and their actions. Despite the pain and disappointment they may cause, Annabeth encourages Percy to accept the reality of the gods and to find strength in knowing what to expect from them. It's a moment of vulnerability and honesty that brings Percy and Annabeth closer together, fostering a deeper understanding between them. After this, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover find themselves on a train bound for Los Angeles, resuming their cross-country journey. However, their peace is disrupted when they encounter trouble in the form of police questioning. A woman accuses them of destroying a train cabin, but they insist they didn't do it. Now, it becomes evident that the cabin was torn apart by something or someone searching for something valuable, possibly Zeus's master bolt, which many suspect Percy of stealing. The mysterious woman engaging the trio in conversation reveals herself to be none other than Echidna, known as the Mother of Monsters. Then she introduces her little companion in a carrier, initially mistaken for a chihuahua, but it soon becomes clear that it is no ordinary pet. Echidna reveals her sinister intent, admitting that she's been stalling to allow her little monster to pick up the trio's scent. With a chilling warning to run, a massive tentacle suddenly emerges from the carrier and strikes Percy, catching them off guard. In a swift and desperate move, Annabeth retaliates by stabbing the monstrous creature, but the danger is far from over. After narrowly escaping the monster and the train, Annabeth insists on making a pit stop at the Gateway Arch in St. Louis, Missouri. The arch serves as both a tribute to Athena and a refuge from monsters, offering the hope of protection under Athena's watchful gaze. During their respite, Percy and Annabeth engage in another heart-to-heart conversation about their divine parentage. Percy expresses his frustration and hurt over his father's apparent indifference, while Annabeth grapples with similar feelings towards her mother. Despite their different approaches to dealing with their parental issues, they find solace in each other's company. Percy acknowledges that Annabeth has been a source of comfort and support for him, more so than his absent father. Meanwhile, Annabeth chooses to hold onto the belief that her mother cares for her in some way, fostering a sense of hope amid their shared struggles. Suddenly, Percy collapses from the poisonous stingers of the creature, and his friends rush to his aid, desperate to save him. They plunge him into the fountain nearby, hoping the water will heal him, but to no avail. Realizing they need to seek help from Athena, they make a dash for her altar at the top of the arch. Meanwhile, Echidna and her menacing monster find them and come after them. Upon reaching the top, Annabeth and Grover discover that the creature with Echidna is none other than the Chimera, a fearsome demigod killer. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Annabeth decides they must split up to stand a chance against their enemy. She pulls the fire alarm to alert the humans below, buying them some time. Then, Annabeth instructs Percy to continue the quest to find Zeus's bolt and journey to the underworld, extracting a promise from him before they part ways. In a moment of selflessness, Percy entrusts Riptide, his sword, to Annabeth for protection. However, as she reaches for it, Percy swiftly pulls her behind a door, swapping places with her and locking her inside. Determined to face the Chimera alone, Percy confronts the beast at the top of the Gateway Arch, with Echidna watching from the sidelines. Despite Percy's best efforts to evade the Chimera's fiery attacks, Echidna intervenes by opening a hole in the arch, causing Percy to fall through. As he dangles above the ground on the brink of peril, an unexpected savior emerges. A wall of water rises from the Mississippi River, pulling Percy under. Through the assistance of a Nereid, Percy's father, Poseidon, intervenes to save his son's life. Percy finally manages to breathe underwater, thanks to his father's timely intervention. As Percy falls from the arch, Annabeth and Grover desperately cling to hope that their friend is still alive. Their attention is momentarily drawn to 3 women near Athena's temple, but Grover urges Annabeth to focus on finding Percy. Just as Annabeth and Grover approach the deck, they spot Percy emerging from the water, miraculously alive. Overwhelmed with relief, Annabeth rushes to embrace him, while Grover shares in the joy of their reunion. Together, they inform Percy of the police pursuits stemming from the incident at the arch, realizing that conventional transportation to the underworld is no longer an option. However, despite the obstacles in their path, the trio presses on toward the underworld, seeking refuge beneath a bridge upon hearing the sound of a motorbike approaching. During this, Annabeth reveals her unsettling encounter with Atropos, one of the three fates, who appear to cut a thread symbolizing the web of life. This ominous revelation leaves them fearing for their own mortality. Their tense moment is interrupted by the arrival of the biker, who turns out to be none other than Ares, the formidable god of war. Ares offers his assistance in gaining entry to the underworld, but not before insisting on a rendezvous at a nearby diner. With urgency in his demeanor, Ares swiftly moves ahead, leaving the trio to follow in his wake. Once inside the eatery, the trio spots Ares, who wastes no time in revealing the police pursuit targeting Percy. He shows them a video of Percy's stepfather accusing him of wrongdoing, further emphasizing the urgency of their situation. After this, Ares offers his assistance in reaching the underworld, but with a condition. He tells them that if he helps them get to the underworld, then they must retrieve his shield from an amusement park. Additionally, he requests that Grover remain behind as collateral while Percy and Annabeth undertake the task. The trio agrees, and Ares shows Annabeth and Percy the way to the amusement park. Upon arriving at the amusement park, Annabeth and Percy quickly realize that it's no ordinary theme park, but it's a creation of Hephaestus, the god of craftsmanship. As they explore further, they uncover hints of a scandalous affair between Ares and Hephaestus' wife, Aphrodite, suggesting a possible motive for Ares' request to retrieve his shield. As they explore the tunnel of love, they find Ares' shield. But getting it means they have to make a tough choice, kind of like the story where Hephaestus kept Hera trapped until he got Aphrodite as his wife. Faced with a moral dilemma, Annabeth and Percy decide to weigh their options carefully, knowing that their decision could have far-reaching consequences. Meanwhile, at the diner, Grover cleverly manipulates Ares to reveal the truth about who stole the Thunderbolt. By playing on Ares' frustration with Athena, Grover succeeds in uncovering valuable information. In the amusement park, Percy bravely sacrifices himself for the quest, urging Annabeth to continue without him. However, Annabeth refuses to leave her friend behind and tirelessly seeks a solution. During this, Hephaestus appears and guides Annabeth to safety, moved by her unwavering loyalty to Percy. Then he eventually releases Percy, allowing them to reunite. After completing the mission, Annabeth and Percy safely come back. Upon returning to the diner, Ares receives his shield back, and he fulfills his promise by loading them into a cattle truck headed for Las Vegas. He assures them they will meet Hermes there, who might lead them to Los Angeles. However, as they board the vehicle, uncertainty lingers about Ares' true intentions. In a surprising twist, Grover reveals that he has uncovered the identity of the thief who stole the Thunderbolt. Percy and his friends find themselves riding in a livestock truck. During the journey, Percy has a scary dream where someone talks about the thief who stole the lightning bolt. The speaker hints that there's a bigger plan at play beyond just causing a fight between Zeus and Poseidon. Percy wakes up scared but keeps the details to himself, not wanting to worry Grover and Annabeth. In the next scene, Percy and Annabeth use a drachma to summon Iris, the rainbow goddess, hoping to talk to Chiron. Instead, they end up speaking to Luke. They share their suspicion that Clarice, daughter of Ares, might be the thief. During this, Annabeth interrupts before Percy can mention meeting Hermes in Vegas, concerned about Luke's complicated relationship with his father. Later, they leave the truck and Grover helps free the animals since he's a satyr. However, the animals roam freely, causing chaos on the road. Then, spotting the Lotus Casino where they're supposed to meet Hermes, the trio heads inside. At the casino, Annabeth warns Percy and Grover not to eat anything because of a myth about lotus seeds. According to legend, eating them makes you lose track of time and space. After this, they decide to split up to search for Hermes. Percy and Annabeth decide to go together, while Grover goes his own way. As Percy and Annabeth search for Hermes, she shares insights into Grover's connection with Hermes. Meanwhile, Grover encounters Augustus, another satyr, who convinces him to search for Pan in the casino. However, as they explore, Grover suddenly forgets everything, including his purpose and companions. Meanwhile, Annabeth and Percy manage to locate Hermes and request his aid in accessing the underworld. Despite their pleas, Hermes declines, citing the worsening of the situation whenever he intervenes. However, Annabeth devises a plan to steal the keys to Hermes' vehicle, which they can use for their journey. They bring along Grover, who remains oblivious to his surroundings. Guided by instructions left by Hermes, they embark on their journey, eventually reaching California and arriving at a moonlit beach. Here, Percy ventures into the water to meet Poseidon but is intercepted by a Nereid instead. The Nereid delivers Poseidon's message, advising Percy to abandon the quest as war between the gods seems inevitable. However, Percy remains resolute, emphasizing the importance of completing the quest despite the risks. Impressed by Percy's determination, the Nereid bestows 4 orbs upon him, symbolizing their approval. 3 orbs are given to Percy and his companions, while the 4th is granted to Percy's mother, signifying her involvement in the journey. Percy makes his way to a mattress store, which is secretly run by Procrustes, his evil stepbrother and son of Poseidon. Known as Krusty, Procrustes guards the entrance to the underworld hidden within the store. Upon encountering Krusty, Percy sees through his deceptive offer to relax on a mattress and instead pushes him onto one, trapping him. Soon, Annabeth and Grover join Percy, and together they utilize the store's portal to enter the underworld. The atmosphere there is eerie and desolate, with an unmistakable sense of foreboding. They encounter Chiron, resembling the Grim Reaper, who orders the fearsome Cerberus, a three-headed hound, to attack them despite their living status. After this, they engage in a harrowing chase with Cerberus pursuing them relentlessly. During the chase, Grover loses his orb and Annabeth is forced to use Poseidon's orb to escape from the underworld. Eventually, Percy and Grover find themselves in a desert-like area where Cerberus ceases its pursuit. During their journey, Grover faces a dangerous situation when his flying sneakers unexpectedly pull him toward the sea. Thankfully, Percy acts quickly and uses his sword to rescue Grover from the perilous situation. However, their relief is short-lived when Percy discovers the stolen Master Bolt concealed in his backpack. Given that Ares had given Percy the bag in St. Louis, they deduce that Ares must be the culprit behind the theft. Despite this revelation, Percy is still determined to locate his mother. With Grover by his side, he ventures into the underworld to seek an audience with Hades. Upon meeting Hades, Percy wastes no time in asking about his mother's whereabouts. Hades then reveals that he has turned Percy's mother into gold, but offers to assist him in finding her if Percy can retrieve his Helm of Darkness, which was stolen on the same day as Zeus's Master Bolt. As Percy pieces together the information, he realizes that the Master Bolt was stolen by Kronos, the god of evil and time, who is also the father of the gods. With the realization that Kronos could use the stolen Thunderbolt to instigate a war, Hades expresses his desire to possess the bolt to prevent such a catastrophe. He presents a new arrangement offering protection to Grover, Percy's mother, and Percy in exchange for the Master Bolt. However, Percy grapples with the ethical dilemma of betraying Zeus, the god of gods. Ultimately, he decides against siding with Hades and rejects the offer. Instead, Percy opts for the first offer they received and chooses to leave Hades behind. Alongside Grover, Percy gathers their orbs and departs from Hades' domain, heading towards a nearby beach. This decision marks a pivotal moment in their quest as they continue to navigate the challenges and obstacles that lie ahead. In a touching moment from the past, we witness a flashback of Sally Jackson's efforts to help Percy adjust to a new school. Sensing his unease, she takes him to a cafe for a heart-to-heart. While Percy feels downcast, Sally secretly converses with Poseidon, asking him to reveal himself to their son. However, Poseidon reassures her that the time will come when Percy is ready to learn about his divine heritage and role in the world. Back in the present, upon arriving at the beach, Percy and Grover are relieved to find Annabeth waiting for them. As they reunite, Percy notices Ares approaching him. We see a flashback of Luke and Percy engaged in training back in the camp. Luke, with his seasoned expertise, shares crucial knowledge with Percy, emphasizing the importance of strategy, agility, and precision in combat. Fast forward to the present, Percy finds himself facing off against Ares, the formidable god of war, on the beach. Ares, who is very sure of himself and acts a bit too proud, suggests a big bet. He says that whoever wins gets both Zeus's powerful lightning bolt and Hades' scary helmet. Drawing upon the lessons learned from Luke, Percy employs a combination of skillful swordplay and tactical cunning in his duel with Ares. As the clash intensifies, Percy taps into his connection with the sea, channeling its elemental force to gain the upper hand against his divine opponent. Despite Ares' formidable might, Percy's determination and resourcefulness prove to be formidable adversaries. In a pivotal moment, Percy seizes an opportunity to exploit Ares' overconfidence, using the power of the sea to weaken the god and bring him to his knees. After emerging victorious and standing tall with Hades' helmet in hand, Percy understands that his journey is far from finished. He knows there are more challenges waiting for him ahead. Despite this knowledge, Percy is determined to press on, fueled by a newfound sense of determination and purpose. Following this, Percy's path leads him to a quaint cottage nestled along the shoreline. Upon entering, he encounters Alecto, who has arrived to reclaim Hades' helmet. Without hesitation, Percy relinquishes the helmet, hoping that Hades will honor his end of the bargain and return Percy's mother, Sally, to him. After this, Percy embarks on his second mission, aiming to return Zeus's lightning bolt by journeying to Mount Olympus. Upon reaching the divine realm, Percy confronts Zeus and informs him about Kronos, his own father, who had stolen the lightning bolt and is now gearing up for war. However, Percy's attempt to appeal to Zeus's familial sentiments backfires when Zeus takes offense to Percy's mention of their strained family history. In a dramatic turn of events, Poseidon intervenes just in time to shield Percy from Zeus's imminent wrath. With Poseidon's soothing words, the tension subsides and the gods agree to convene as a family to address the looming threat of war. However, Zeus departs without further discussion. In a heartfelt moment, Percy shares a tender exchange with Poseidon. Seeking solace and guidance, Percy inquires about his mother, Sally, and whether she ever visits Poseidon in his dreams. However, rather than providing a straightforward answer, Poseidon hands Percy an orb, instructing him to return to Camp Half-Blood. After returning to camp, Annabeth embraces Percy warmly, but their reunion is short-lived as they encounter Clarice, who seems to be causing trouble again. Annabeth and Luke advise Percy to handle the situation carefully, waiting until he has solid evidence against her. As time passes, Percy starts piecing together the clues and realizes that Luke is the one who betrayed him. Reflecting on past events, he understands that the flying shoes Luke gifted him nearly led Grover into danger in Tartarus. After this, Luke attempts to sway Percy to join forces with Ares and Kronos, but Percy wants no part in their schemes. In a surprising turn of events, Luke reveals himself as the true lightning thief and opens a portal to escape camp. However, just as he is about to leave, Annabeth arrives, causing Luke to flee through the portal, leaving Percy behind. Afterward, Percy prepares to return to Hades to check if he has fulfilled his end of the bargain regarding Percy's mother. Before leaving, he visits Chiron and Dionysus to bid them farewell. Next, he meets with Grover and Annabeth under Talia's tree. During their farewell, Annabeth shares that she's going to visit her father in New York, while Grover is determined to begin his search for Pan now that he has his official searcher's license. They make plans to reconvene under Talia's tree next year at the same time before parting ways. In the end, Sally interrupts Percy's dream, providing a comforting presence in his unsettling encounter with Kronos. This interaction prompts Percy to gradually open up about his feelings for his mother, showing a newfound resilience against the fear induced by his dreams. In the next scene, Gabe, Sally's estranged husband, receives news of her decision to divorce him. To his dismay, he finds himself locked out of the house, only to stumble upon a mysterious parcel left outside. Ignoring any caution, Gabe opens the package, only to be met with a shocking and irreversible fate as he gazes upon the petrifying visage of Medusa's severed head, marking a chilling conclusion to the season.